Well, Dylan, in the beginning, we sought you out. My husband had a client, and we were concerned about some of the attention and focusing issues that he was having in school. And the client that he had mentioned you, how she had had similar issues with her son, and she had come to you for help, and that it had really been very good for him. So we decided to look you up and see if you could do the same thing for us. My son was having some real problems focusing, paying attention in the classroom. He just did not seem to be engaged, and there was a great deal of material that he wasn't getting, that the other kids were getting during class time.
And I was completely, as you remember, fascinated by him.
Yes.
And he walked into my office and he immediately began to touch everything. Remember this?
Right, I
Right?
do.
And I remember you saying, "No, don't touch that. No, stop touching." And I said, "No, please, touch everything." And you said, "Are you sure?"
Yeah,
Remember that?
right.
And I said, "Absolutely. He's tactile. He learns by touch."
That's right.
And you said, "Yes, he does. He learns by touch." I said, "So for him to feel at ease with me in my office, we're just going to let him touch everything." And I have a number of fun things that he likes to touch,
That's
including,
right.
remember the globe? The
Oh,
globe that lights
yes,
up, the great globe.
definitely.
And so the globe is a storm, and you touch it, and it will change based on your voice and how you touch it. And he really liked that a lot.
Yes.
So you were in the room,
Yes.
which I like. I like, especially for young children. I enjoy and need the parents in the room so we
Yes.
can observe and see what has happened, especially when we go into a dream state. So the first thing that I asked him, as I ask all people, how would you like to feel? And he said, happy. Happy. And then he said something that made me smile. He looked at you and he said, and focus. I need to focus. And I started laughing and I said, you have no issues with focusing? And he said, what? I do. I have issues with focusing and it's a problem. And I said, no. I said, you focus brilliantly. Your obstacle is that you're not paying attention to what the teacher or your mother or your father would like for you to do. It's about paying attention. It has nothing to do with focus. And that put him at ease. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He went,
did.
oh, okay. So, because we were looking at it from a different prism as opposed to just that prism. Remember this?
Yes, I do.
And then that shifted him. And then I said, okay, I'm going to take you to outer space. And he thought that was kind of fun. And he was in the chair. And I said, we're going to allow you to relax a little bit deeper. And then we're going to go figure out in your theater what is stopping you or keeping you from being able to pay attention.
Yes.
And when he came out of it, what was so charming was that he talked about the playground monitors who were keeping him from movement. He talked about the teachers who'd been mean to him and made him feel less than.
Yes.
And all of them were on his screen, and they were all archived and put elsewhere. And then the person who appeared on his screen, I forget, it was somebody from a cartoon that he had seen. Do you remember this?
I can't
It was
recall
an
that.
older man who was supposed to be really wise, and he named him, and you said, oh, that's from the cartoon. And it's this really older, gentle, lovely character that's really kind to children. And that was the character that his subconscious created to assist him. Remember that?
I do, but I can't recall the
I can't
character.
recall the character's name. So anyway, so he comes out of that, as you recall. And then we started the cross brain exercises to get his
Yes.
brain up and functioning.
And that was really helpful for him.
Really helpful because his brain was frozen due to the trauma that had been created by these playground monitors and by the teachers. So what had happened was that a blind spot had been created for him in his brain. And do you remember when we reset his eye modes and he held the back of his head and he fell back in the seat? Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? He fell back. Okay, so the occipital lobe back here, where you really see, right? He felt it when they were reset. And he fell back in the chair. He said, "What did you do to the back of my head?" Right? Yeah. I mean, he's so vivacious. And I mean, he's just energy 110%, right?
That's right.
Right. And then we reset that. And then because we had a new wonderful chalkboard or a new slate of that we could work with, we then began to put the alphabet back inside of him
Yes.
in the way that he could learn it, which is through movement. Right?
That's right.
Right. And that was powerful for him when we started to learn the alphabet with the body as opposed to just seeing it or hearing it. He has to be in movement to learn.
Yes.
And so he learned the alphabet again.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. And you gave us good tools to work with at home so he could practice as well. And he really improved with that.
Yeah. And do you remember this original poster that he did?
Yes, definitely brought back memories for me.
And he's so far beyond all this. And within 2 hours, he was completely different. Do you remember that?
I do.
And so we started with this one, and this was the beginning. And then he went through and we resolved the trauma related to learning. And then once we resolved the trauma related to learning, the next thing that happened was that he did this. Remember this? He wrote the alphabet again. It was better. And then when he got to H, he wrote the word home. Now, to me, in my brain, I said, why would that child write the word home? And I said, it must be that his brain will turn on and be able to see again when he feels safe and secure.
Yes.
So then I asked him, I said, well, where is home for you? And he said, with mom and with dad, you know, that's home for me. He felt safe at home. So then I said, okay, I have to get you to a point where you can actually see again the two-dimensional plane. So you can see the letters.
That's right.
Because he couldn't see them, which we found very peculiar, right? But
Yeah.
it was true. He really couldn't see them because of the trauma. But the trauma had been resolved. So we had to get him, I call him, and all like him, baby dragons. Because they're energy and they're these mystical, magical creatures on the planet that I don't want to contain. I don't want them to be stuck in chairs. I want them to be able to move because that's how they learn.
That's right. The teachers initially understood that we needed to, as we went through this work with you, that he needed to be able to have some breaks and to be able to move, and if he needed to be situated differently in the classroom. So he has more options that he can utilize during learning time that help him, especially if he's having to transition from one thing to another. The other thing is that now he's gotten to a point where he can just kind of self-regulate.
Wow, exciting.
And, so this year I really haven't had to say much at all to the teacher. And the teacher instead is coming to me with, having received information in the past and from other teachers. They all meet, they all talk before school starts. The teacher is, very pleased and surprised at how well he's actually doing with all of these different things, because he's able to self-regulate and do so many things, in a normal way in the classroom.
And do you believe that a piece of that is because of the cross-patterning techniques that allows his brain to go into a whole brain state, so that allows him to be able to pay attention?
I do. I believe that there were a number of tools that you gave him, that being one of them. And it helped him to take ownership over the need to pay attention, and that if he finds himself wandering, how to get back on track. And he began to, once he felt that that was an expectation, it was expected of him, and he knew how to access it better.
And there was nothing wrong with him.
And there was nothing wrong with him.
There was nothing wrong
Yeah,
with him.
it just, he was
That he
able to
could
kind of take off for
absolutely
himself.
focus.
Yes.
It was just paying attention to what someone else wanted him to do.
That's right.
Right? So
That's
it
right.
it took the light of something's wrong with you can't focus, into everything's right with you. However, could you please pay attention to what I want you to do, right?
Right.
And he went, oh, I can accept that. He said, they want me to do something, and I'm ignoring them.
That's right.
Right?
That's
And so
right.
now he can realign himself to pay attention to what needs to be done.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So let's discuss the tools that he's still using for self-regulating. I'd like to hear what he's still using and what has benefited him most.
Okay. We started out with the cubes. Those were really helpful in terms of the drawing of the cubes and being able to look at the different dimensions to help him access better, especially in the mornings before school when he's tired sometimes, and that is very helpful.
Yeah, because the cube is important because you have to draw a square, so that's a two-dimensional, and then another square on top of it, and then you draw the lines to connect. And that's assisting the brain from what I call them the hypercube children. Right? They are hypercubes. Their brain spins really high, and that's magnificent because, you know, who doesn't enjoy watching a hypercube? They're amazing. But to allow that style of brain to slow down to understand a two-dimensional square, we need a bridge. And what you're saying gives me joy because it's true. Once they draw the cube and they see the third square, when they draw the square, they draw the square on top and then they connect and they see the third cube, their brain has now connected in differently.
Yes.
To be able to actually see the two-dimensional plane. So he's still doing that and it helps him.
Yeah, that's
Good.
very helpful.
Good.
The one when he was younger, he doesn't do that as much, but it was very helpful when he was younger. The one with the hands and the knees and
cross-patterning, the
yes.
marching and then the crossing. Always ending on the
Definitely.
cross. Yes.
Also, the one with the eyes where they follow with
The infinity.
Yes.
Yes, the infinity, so that the eyes circle back.
Yes. Yes. And then the sack of joy. That's the
The guided imagery?
Guided imagery.
That they listen to at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
For their fears, worries, and concerns.
Yeah.
It transmutes and transforms it in the psyche.
He's done really well with that and is still listening to that. It's basically puts him to sleep.
Oh, love that. Love that. Baby dragons.